I think it's a building that will change people's expectations about what is possible in apartment buildings for the future. So for the last 21 years at Elenberg Fraser, I've been working on large apartment buildings. For the last 4 years personally, I've been working on a new format for residential living that we call the New Standard. The New Standard has looked very closely at the way that we live in our houses and very closely at the benefits of communal living in apartment buildings, and puts the two things together into a much closer sense of community where you have all the assets of your house and all of the benefits of community. So working with Beulah International, they're a developer that likes to be challenged, that likes to be forward-thinking, that likes to understand how they can do a building that's better than anything anyone's ever seen before, and really challenges people's expectations about what's possible for residential living in the future. So with the New Standard, what we have tried to do is to recreate all the very best elements that we find in housing from the suburbs in a horizontal format. So the convenience of location and amenity and services mean that I can have all the things that I love about my house in the location and the community that I've grown up in, within the kind of tighter boundaries and bonds that come with a closer residential community that I live with.
It's hard to capture it in a few sentences because it really is looking at a new style of living, a new future to the way we design apartments. Really, it's about enhancing someone's lifestyle, the way they live. So the main driver for us and the main target market that we do look at is the owner-occupier. So they're moving from their home and their houses that they've had for 30 odd years, where the kids have left home. They now don't need to live in such a big house. They don't want the maintenance. They want to have the low maintenance, the security that you get in an apartment living. So the challenge for our office has really been, how do we make sure that we're at the forefront of this?
So when Beulah have come to us and asked us to challenge ourselves with our thinking around our commercial residential planning, we've gone deep into the suburbs in Camberwell and in Kew and in Hawthorn to try to generate a new format for residential residences that delivers uniqueness and diversity within the plan arrangements. We've tried with Provenance to give you a building that doesn't look like the way you expect a building to look. At the outset, it's a building which is generated from the inside out, and it's a building which keeps its secrets close to itself. So it's a simple of simply folded masonry frames that sit into a rich parkland environment with a glazed lantern that sits on top, which is operated and screened to give it privacy and density depending upon the seasons. So we have the Botanic, the Epicurean, and the Domain. They're the three different family arrangements which we've sought to create in this building. At the ground floor, the Botanic arrangements bring the garden inside and outside and create a very intact relationship between the natural world and the interior world. To the middle floor of the building, it's a bit of an entertainer. We have the Epicurean collection, which are about the kitchen and the way that the kitchen becomes the life and the heart of one's house, but in a way that delivers the family flowing through the kitchen. So it's not a place to be worried about creating mess and making noise. It's a place that allows the family to be all the different things that it wants to be. And in the Domain collection, what you will see is a series of revolutions in safety and amenity that come with the penthouse collections.
The Botanic, which is the ground floor level, had an opportunity to add terraces and courtyards to it, which I think is great, because the biggest challenge for us when we're trying to design homes within an apartment building is really this idea of the Australian dream. The Australian dream has always been about a house with a backyard, and I think the beauty of Provenance and its ground floor apartments is that the outdoor terraces are large. It's going to enable the occupants to have a herb garden. They'll be able to bring their own pot plants. They'll be able to have a large dining table. They'll really be able to create the experiences that you get in a backyard at the dwellings that they have. So the Epicurean, this was a fun one because I really enjoy cooking, and so for me the kitchen is one of the key parts of an apartment. I think the best thing about this one is really the focus of the orientation of the kitchen. It's facing the view. So whenever you're in it and whether or not you're cleaning your dishes or you're cooking, you're entertaining, you've always got this central focal point of an island bench, which is this beautiful sculptural form. I think it's suited to multiple different characters, to be honest. Your parents with kids who are doing homework, downsizers who are, cooking dinner whilst one's watching TV and set in their ways, or entertainers who have people over. The island benches are big enough to put some platters on. People can be sitting around it having a champagne whilst you're cooking. The space is all connected, so even if there are two groups in two different areas, one in the living, one in the kitchen, it's still all part of the same atmosphere, which I think's a real tribute to it. The Domain's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of spaces in it, and I think the best thing about the Domain is that you're able to make it what you want to make it. There are spaces where you could end up being a home office, a study. It could be a personal gym if you wanted it to be. And I think the flexibility in those zones really means that the people that are going to be living there are really going to be able to curate their own spaces. I think there's a big emphasis on the entertainment zone within this space. It connects to the balcony. It's got a large kitchen, which is going to be phenomenal.
Camberwell celebrates the very best elements of its direct location. The things that we love about these kind of wide suburban streets with their big deciduous leafy trees and their deep front gardens with the kind of terraces that wrap around their interiors, are that you have the natural world with you and you have your privacy from it, but one can also step out into their front porches and engage with their neighbours and the people around. What does that mean for an apartment building format to behave and to look and to feel like those grand leafy residences that one finds in the boulevards in Camberwell? Well, that's what Provenance is. It's a version of collective living which has all the very best elements of its residential typologies around it, which complements the streets and brings a modern way to live into that environment. So the question that I asked of myself is, why would I live in this big rambling house with all that goes wrong, and the garden that requires the upkeep, and the inability to stop my dog from escaping, out the front door, when if I had my druthers, I would have all the perfect elements of that housing arrangement without the negatives. I want to live on one level. I want to live in the garden, and I want to have safety and security so that I don't have to worry about those things. So that's what you see with Provenance. You see the very best elements of the leafy residential streets together with the privacy and the security that comes with a luxury residential building.
I think when everybody asks themselves what they want space. They want to be able to have an open living. And I think one of the key differences with Provenance is the smallest product in Provenance is probably comparable to the largest product in other developments. So with this, it means that there's more room for spaces that are flexible. The people that will be purchasing these have a guest room if it is just a couple. They can then turn the third bedroom into their home office or a study. It just offers flexibility within how they utilise the space within their apartments. Provenance is going to be, I think, an amazing project which will offer spaces, and to be honest, I think the purchasers won't really understand the size of the space until they actually are in the apartment. It's hard sometimes to be able to visualise that from a plan. So I think the best thing about that is the surprise they'll get when they do move in.